Tonight on CTV News at 6. The cost of policing is going up.
Our council asked the government to upload the OPP servicing to the province.
Northern municipalities are looking for help from the province. He's no longer a member of the Tory caucus.
It's not so much even that these charges are there against him, which are very serious. It's that he's now sitting as an independent.
When is Soo MPP Chris Scott returning to the Ontario legislature? And did you hear it or feel it?
We do record them quite often, particularly when it's a rather active mine. That does cause induced seismicity.
An earthquake hit Greater Sudbury last night.
CTV News at 6 with Tony Ryma and Rick Wyman with weather.
Good evening. Glad you could spend some time with us on this Monday. A coroner's inquest is underway to determine the circumstances surrounding the death of an inmate at the Sudbury jail. 44-year-old Justin Alexander Trudeau of Wikwemikong unceded territory was found unresponsive in his cell February 13th, 2021. He died just 4 days into his 30-day sentence. While his death was ultimately ruled to be of natural causes, Trudeau was documented as experiencing breathing difficulties and a hand infection in the days prior. The inquest is now examining whether the jail's care protocols and systemic issues played a role, including his Indigenous background. Testimony has pointed specifically to extreme staffing shortages at the time. A registered nurse told the inquest that she was sometimes responsible for the care of up to 200 inmates alone. The inquest is expected to last 8 days and hear from about 14 witnesses. One person is in hospital after an ATV crash on Manitoulin Island. Around 6 p.m. Saturday, emergency crews were called to the municipality of Central Manitoulin, where a single ATV had crashed. The driver was transported to hospital with life-threatening injuries. There's no information on what caused the crash. The province's Special Investigations Unit is looking for witnesses to a collision over the weekend involving a bicycle and a Sudbury police vehicle. Around 9 a.m. on Saturday, a marked cruiser traveling westbound on Lawrence Street and a cyclist traveling northbound on Regent Street collided. The police cruiser was responding to a call at the time of the collision. The 75-year-old cyclist sustained serious but non-life-threatening injuries and was transported to hospital. The SIU is handling the investigation because police were involved. Anyone with information on the collision is asked to contact the SIU through its website, siu.on.ca. Charges have been laid after an incident at a community event near Massey earlier this month. Police say a youth was injured at an event north of Massey October 7th and was sent to hospital with life-threatening injuries. Manitoulin, OPP, and the Anishinaabe Police Service investigated and confirmed today they are charging a 34-year-old Massey woman with criminal negligence in connection with the incident. For more on this and all of our news stories, head to CTVNewsNorthernOntario.ca. Investigators in Windsor, Ontario say the human remains found Friday near Matheson in Northern Ontario are believed to be linked to the case of a missing 37-year-old Windsor man. CTV's Chris Campbell has the latest on the investigation.
Police say the remains have not yet been formally identified as Paveo's, but their investigation leads them to believe they are connected to the case and are believed to be his. At a media conference on Friday, Staff Sergeant Joe Fadoul of the Windsor Major Crimes Unit described the investigation as one of the most daunting he's ever worked, noting the absence of a body has made charges difficult, but he says investigators believe Mr. Paveo was killed on or around August 14th. 2 suspects have already been charged. On October 15th, 54-year-old Shane Laddiser was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and indecent interference with the deceased body. And 49-year-old Marie Christine Hanna was charged with accessory after the fact to murder and indecent interference. Investigators continue searching for a third person known only by the name Colin. He's described as a white male in his late 20s, about 5 foot 10 inches tall, with a rose or flower tattoo on the back of his hand. He is known to frequent Windsor's West End and downtown areas. Police say they believe the homicide took place at a home at 1057 Felix Avenue in Windsor. The property remains under forensic examination. As for the scene in Northern Ontario, the OPP conducted a search in a wooded area north of Kirkland Lake in response to leads that developed during the investigation in Windsor. Investigators were not available to provide an interview today, but the case remains very active and police say the public's help is crucial. Anyone with information is asked to contact Windsor's Major Crimes Unit or anonymously through Windsor and Essex County Crime Stoppers.
A few hundred Ontario municipalities are going to be paying more for policing. The cost of provincial police services is rising, and municipalities sounded the alarm over the increase and got the government's attention. CTV's Eric Tashner has more.
Following uproar from municipal leaders over skyrocketing double-digit costs in their Ontario provincial police bills for 2025, the Ministry of the Solicitor General is capping the annual OPP increase.
Our council asked the government to upload, the OPP servicing to the province. We still believe it's under their mandate.
The raise will be limited to 11%, and the threshold for receiving a discount based on call volume will be lowered going forward. That's left local leaders looking at additional tax increases or spending cuts to cover the unexpected expenses.
11% is still a lot for municipalities to swallow, especially when it's one of your biggest costs.
When a new contract boosted police officers' salaries, many municipalities were slapped with bill increases of between 20 and 30%. At the time, Mattawa Council projected a 29% spike or an increase of $125,000.
That would have represented a 7.7% increase on the residents of Mattawa's taxation.
In a statement, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario says the new rate changes do not provide a long-term solution to the growing policing cost pressures towns and municipalities face. Writing, in addition, preliminary analysis suggests that very few municipalities will benefit from the lower threshold levels. The province announced $77 million last fall to help communities address the financial impact of the contract agreement with the OPP Association that was ratified last summer.
The choice of our council with that was to use about half on last year and to tuck half away to try to offset any further increases.
With council starting budget deliberations and with billing statements coming next month, there's a lot for them to think about long term.
It's the affordability and the sustainability that's the issue.
Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
So let's dial it back a little. Now it's time for our first check on weather. More sunshine today after a miserable weekend. What does Mother Nature have in store for us? Here's CTV's Rick Wyman.
More rain, Tony Ryma. More rain's coming up in northeastern Ontario and the chance of sleet as well. Our systems map, as you can see, approaching the north, and we've got some rain right now in several locales. We'll talk about that during our current temperatures in just a couple of minutes, but we've got rain until at least Friday, possibly Saturday. But again, the weekend should be a lot better than it was this past weekend. So we'll check out the current temperatures and a lot more. Don't forget our 7-day forecast. We'll fill in some of those blanks. We've got some sleet in the forecast and a lot more to come. Tony, back to you.
Thanks for that, Rick. When will he return to Queen's Park? Still to come on CTV News at 6. What is the status of Sioux MPP Chris Scott? But first, let's head to Wawa. This live webcam is courtesy of the municipality of Wawa. There's a beautiful shot of the mouth of the Michipicoten River as the sun goes down. It is 10 Celsius. We are back in a few minutes.
Pure Country 91.7 wants to send you to Sandals South Coast in Jamaica. We're giving away an all-inclusive Caribbean vacation for 2 every weekday. Listen for your chance to win. Pure Country Passport with Sandals Resorts. Get closer to the Caribbean.
Today marked the first sitting of the Ontario legislature since June, and MPPs had the controversial Skills Development Fund under the microscope. CTV's Siobhan Morris reports.
An unrelenting barrage of questions for the Labour Minister at the centre of a scandal. It's over the Skills Development Fund, a $2.5 billion pot for training workers. The Auditor General's described the process of deciding who gets it as not fair, transparent, or accountable.
And what was the common denominator? Lobbyists. Lobbyists with connections to this government, to this premier, and to this minister.
David Piccini's been involved in picking recipients with ties to progressive conservatives who scored low in the criteria for funding.
Openly admitted to a conflict of interest to the premier. Will he ask the Minister of Labour to step aside?
A push all opposition parties are behind.
I think it's indefensible. I mean, he's essentially created a slush fund for PC donors at a time when we have 800,000 people out of work.
The minister defiant and defensive about the program's ability to change lives.
We're never going to apologize for making those investments in those workers.
The minister says there hasn't been quid pro quo in distribution of funds to unions who backed him or his party. And he has no intentions of removing himself from choosing who gets funding.
We work with our officials in that discussion. We have to make sure we have construction workers on job sites. Otherwise, we will delay.
The Premier's office says the Premier continues to have confidence in his Labour minister. The government has introduced legislation aimed at making Ontario's economy more competitive.
The bulk of the bill focuses on over 300 permits.
How we can get those permits either eliminated or approved faster without jeopardizing the integrity of the environment or public safety.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
And missing from Queen's Park today was Sault Ste. Marie Representative Chris Scott. CTV's Corey Nordstrom has more on that story.
Queen's Park is open for a new session with Sault Ste. Marie's MPP absent. Chris Scott was arrested last month on assault and assault with a weapon charges, and at the beginning of this month stated he would be taking a leave to deal with his legal matters.
You've elected the MPP to do a certain job, and that includes showing up in the legislature and representing your constituency or the constituency. And if indeed this turns out to be a long hiatus where Mr. Scott does not show up to engage in that representation, in a way he's not doing his job.
Ontario's New Democrats have been vocal in their beliefs that Scott should step down, including the creation of a website titled "Has Chris Scott Resigned?" Tabachnik says that, legal issues aside, there is valid reason for locals to want the Sioux MPP to resign.
It's not so much even that these charges are there against him, which are very serious. It's that he's now sitting as an independent. And that's not, the NDP could argue, that's not what the voters of Sault Ste. Marie went to the ballot for.
If there were a by-election, he expects the now independent candidate would not be successful, something the political science professor believes is likely top of mind in Scott's decision to not call a by-election.
I think it would be pretty tough for Mr. Scott to get elected as an independent in the first place, considering also how close the election was. I think it was some 114 votes he won by. So that in and of itself will be difficult. And then on top of it, the fact that he is under these allegations, it's not a good look.
Scott's first court appearance will be here at the Sault Ste. Marie Courthouse on Wednesday morning. Tabachnik reminds viewers that while the MPP is innocent until proven guilty, a prison sentence longer than 2 years will mean his automatic expulsion from office. Corey Nordstrom, CTV News, Sault Ste. Marie.
Results from a business confidence survey in Timmins are in. While the majority of the respondents are optimistic about the next 12 months, a labor shortage is one of the main concerns. CTV's Lydia Chubak reports.
Despite challenges like rising...
The Timmins Chamber of Commerce launched Small Business Week today at Chow Sandwich, a small eatery in the downtown. About a year ago, the owners say they took a chance by trying something new, offering Italian sandwiches on freshly baked focaccia.
The response has been really good, and it just kind of proves that, you know, if you put a lot of love and work into something, that it will be well accepted by the community.
They're not the only owners who are confident about their operations. Results from the Chamber's 2025 Business Confidence Survey reveal of the 55 respondents, most of them are optimistic about their own operations. However, less than half trust the local economy and even fewer trust the national economy.
I think the important fact here is that 74% of the businesses surveyed said that they're confident in their business and growth in the next 12 months. So I think that's an important statistic out of this entire survey.
There's lots of businesses, obviously, in the downtown here. So we're able to service those people who are downtown looking for snacks and drinks every day.
One recurring challenge survey respondents indicated is the high number of job applicants who lack necessary skills and experience. 64% said workforce availability continues to be the most significant challenge. In an effort to overcome that, the Chamber says it's created a new position to help bridge the gap between education and industry.
So that's a pilot project for the upcoming 2 years. So we're really looking to work alongside industry as well as education to bring that closer in terms of what skill sets are required and to encourage the younger generation as well to look towards the future as to what programs and what careers are in high demand.
Nearly 42% of survey respondents also cited crime as a major concern, citing theft, vandalism, and safety as ongoing barriers to customer traffic and staff security. Lydia Chubak, CTV News, Timmins.
Back now for a check on your current conditions. Here's Rick.
I'm hungry already looking at all those great looking sandwiches, Tony. Our forecast radar for the next little while, we've got some rain moving in. After all, it is supper time. That's why I'm hungry. And you can see it swirling around up until about Wednesday or so. We'll get to that momentarily with the 7-day forecast. But first, your current temperatures. Nice night tonight in some areas. Cochrane, sun and cloud. Timmins, sun and cloud. Moosonee, some shower activity. Kapuskasing, some sun and cloud as well. Some crazy 8s going on. And a 6 in Cochrane. Meanwhile, in Chapleau, we've got 7 with the rain, light rain. Wawa, sun and cloud. And Sault Ste. Marie, some sun and cloud as well. It's always sunny in Parry Sound. 13 degrees. Beautiful night there. Meanwhile, in North Bay, sun and cloud at 9. Temiskaming Shore, some cloud cover and mainly cloudy in the KL and Kirkland Lake. Greater Sudbury, well, we've got some sun and cloud. 11, cloud cover Espanola, cloud cover Elliott Lake, and cloud in Gore Bay. Your 7-day forecast and my Blue Jays prediction on tonight's game against Seattle, all coming up during the 7-day forecast. Tony?
Thanks for that, Rick. We are fighting a trade war on 2 fronts. Next on CTV News at 6, Canada is offering tariff relief to some steel products from the U.S. and China. And shake, rattle, and roll. Greater Sudbury experienced an earthquake last night. As the federal government faces criticism for exempting more U.S. and Chinese aluminum and steel imports from retaliatory tariffs, there are some signals there could be movement on steel and aluminum tariffs this week. CTV's Abigail Beeman on what's in the works and what it means to the industry.
Signs of a potential deal are strong enough for the head of the Business Council of Canada to comment publicly.
There's reason to be cautiously optimistic that we're working towards some sectoral agreements on aluminum and steel and energy more specifically. There's still work to do. We're optimistic that if they can get it to the finish line this week, something can be announced.
Maybe a reduction or a quota, but Goldie Hyder says we won't live in a tariff-free world.
This is not about China, it's about Canada.
Meanwhile, the finance minister is defending new counter-tariff exemptions for Canadian companies bringing in steel and aluminum from the U.S. and China.
So you're talking about a very small group of very specific products that needed to enter Canada to maintain the supply chain.
While the Canadian Steel Producers Association criticizes the exemptions for being too broad, Keenan Loomis represents Canadian steel fabricators and says the decision to exempt I-beam specifically is critical to about 500 Canadian businesses that work with the U.S.
This is really, really impactful when it comes to projects where my guys are working on American projects and bringing in the steel, engineering it, fabricating it here in our shops here in Canada, and then sending it back to the U.S.
The focus now, whether there will be a sectoral deal announced this week or during the Prime Minister's upcoming trip to Asia, where both he and the American president are expected to attend the APEC summit. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Just ahead of next month's budget, Canada's finance minister announcing the creation of Canada's first national anti-fraud strategy.
This will include initiatives like the Canadian Anti-Scam Coalition, which is led by the Canadian financial institutions, tech, and telecom companies. This national strategy will now build upon the vital initiatives you have already launched, and we're going to be working in partnership.
Fraud has become a big issue in Canada, from consumer fraud to schemes targeting seniors. The federal Liberals say they plan to direct banks to have new policies and procedures in place to detect and prevent fraud. The Liberals say they'll also introduce legislation by next spring to create a financial crimes agency to investigate money laundering, online fraud, and scams. It took less than 7 minutes to pull off what's being touted as the heist of the century. 9 priceless jewels from the collection of Napoleon and his Empress were taken from the Louvre Museum in Paris. 4 thieves used a basket lift to gain entry to the building. Reports say they were carrying small chainsaws and escaped on a scooter. Authorities say an emerald-set imperial crown containing more than 1,000 diamonds was found dropped and damaged outside the museum. Closer to home now, Greater Sudbury experienced an earthquake over the weekend, and it's confirmed to be connected to mining activity. Details from CTV's Angela Gemmell.
This is where Sunday's earthquake originated from. Vale Base Metals confirms Creighton Mine experienced a seismic event, but didn't say what type of mining work was underway at the time. In a statement, the mining company says all employees are safe and accounted for, and all established protocols were followed. The mine has since been inspected and returned to normal operations. The rumblings were felt across Greater Sudbury at 8:46 p.m. Vale measured the seismic activity at 3.5 magnitude, but Earthquakes Canada lists it at 2.9 on the scale.
The Sudbury area would have been expected to feel some light shaking, probably similar to a low-flying plane or a heavy truck driving by.
Crane says it's the 8th seismic event recorded from Creighton Mine in the past year, adding that the largest ever at the site was a 3.7 magnitude quake in January 2021.
So we do record them quite often, particularly when it's a rather active mine that does cause induced seismicity. We do locate these for our studies as they provide a good source of ground truth events.
Crane says most seismic activity felt around the Sudbury region is almost always connected to mining, with the size or magnitude depending on what work is going on at the time.
Blasting tends to be pretty small, but rock bursts or other induced earthquakes can get quite large.
40 people have already submitted reports to Earthquakes Canada about this most recent event, which Crane says helps officials better understand the impacts of seismic activity. And Vale says anyone with questions can contact its Community Concerns line. Angela Gemmell, CTV News, Lively.
And there's more news still ahead, but first, here's your full weather forecast with Rick.
25-3, that is my call tonight. Blue Jays over Seattle. Blue Jays will advance to the World Series. Tony, you heard it here first. There you go. Forecast radar, we've got some rain coming into the northeast beginning this evening in some areas like Sault Ste. Marie and Wawa. And again, that will persist for the next little while, continuing into Wednesday or so. We should have a half-decent weekend according to the 7-day forecast, which you're about to see. So stick around for that. Meanwhile, northeastern Ontario, partly cloudy. Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, chance of showers. Timmins, mainly cloudy. Temiskaming Shores, a few clouds. And North Bay, a few clouds as well. Have you noticed the dip in temperatures? Mooseedy, 3, chance of showers. Caphurst, mainly cloudy. Wawa, 6. Gorbay, 8. And Parry Sound, also 8. It's always warmer near the water. Sudbury, Nickel Belt, here we go. Rain tomorrow at 8, chance of showers Wednesday at 10. Some sleet in the forecast Thursday, Friday, 5 and 7 your highs, and Saturday and Sunday. See, the weekend, 7 and 10 should be okay there. Meanwhile, in Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma, rain tomorrow at 10, chance of showers Wednesday at 8. Some sleet Thursday, Friday, 7 and 10. That's pretty well the norm across the northeast. And Saturday, Sunday, some sun and cloud, 10 and 12, which is slightly above normal. Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing, chance of showers for a couple of days at 8, 40%, 60%. Here we go again, Thursday, Friday. Showers, flurries, both days at 60 and 40%. Daytime highs of 5. But I want to point out, check out these overnight lows. You go 1, 0, -2, 0, -1, then up to 4. Saturday, some cloud cover, 5 and 9 on Sunday with the sun and clouds. So The transition that you would normally expect at this time of the year, coming off mid-October, is about to take place. Sleet and a drop in temperatures. Temiskaming Shores, Kirkland Lake, rain for a couple of days. Again, chance of showers on Wednesday, both days at 9. Sleet, both days at 6, Thursday, Friday. Saturday, some cloud cover at 5 and 8 as it perks up on Sunday. Should be a nice day there with the sun and cloud, but your overnight conditions 1, 0, and -1. Throw another dog on the bed. You'll have to do that eventually. North Bay, West Nipissing, rain at 12 for tomorrow, 11 Wednesday, chance of showers. Sleet, 60% both days, Thursday and Friday, 5 and 8. Saturday, Sunday, here we go. 7 and 8 should be a nice weekend overall. So again, those overnight lows aren't all that bad in North Bay, West Nipissing. Want a picture? You've got a picture. Here we go with our pick of the day. Diane Tremblay, October scenery and field. I'm assuming, Diane, this was probably taken before the rain occurred recently. So again, some nice stuff there. So I appreciate that. Perhaps your pick could be on tomorrow. Just give that code a scan and you never know. Stick around. Tony has more news coming up after the break.
A Sault Ste. Marie pianist is about to take her talent south to Brazil. CTV's Ian Campbell has her story.
There's something special about the way Andréane Deschênes tickles the ivories. Music is in her blood. She's given live performances, released albums, and even teaches. It's clear playing is her passion.
There's pieces that are faster and more showy, and there's pieces that are slower and kind of, simpler, and there's a lot of ebbs and flows in this.
But there's a draw for her to Latin music. She commissioned 7 composers, 6 of them Brazilian, to write pieces for her 2024 album Wanderings.
There's something about the way music is taught and played and consumed down there that is very different than I think what we do here in North America.
It's that flavor that helped her capture the eye of conference organizers in Brazil. Deschênes has been invited to participate in the 9th International Meeting of Contemporary Piano. The topic of the conference is music and women.
I think it's important to talk about, how things have not really changed, and despite society becoming better in certain ways when it comes to women in more male-dominated field or how we view women in professional settings, I think that there's a lot of work to still be done.
To play in Brazil is a full circle moment. Her exploration with Latin American composers began with her master's in Afro-Latin music. A teacher introduced her to the repertoire and she took it from there. She leaves on Wednesday and will be there for 12 days. She'll also give some performances in cities like Sao Paulo and Natal.
I can't even think about what's happening next. If anybody has any ideas for me, I'm all ears, because I think I'm just gonna, take a break for a second and see what happens next.
Wherever she goes, it's not hard to believe it'll be somewhere near a piano. Ian Campbell, CTV News, Sudbury.
And if you're looking to catch Deschênes live, you're in luck. She has a performance scheduled for November 14th at the Loft in Sault Ste. Marie entitled Back from Brazil. The township of Bonfield is gearing up for a parade this weekend all about the spooky season. The Bonfield Halloween Parade will start at the corner of Gagnon Street and Development Road. Now in its 6th year, the event was originally created to bring the community together during the pandemic. Organizers say floats and donations are needed this year.
People are feeling the crunch a little bit more with their families and not able to donate as much as they have been in the past, and that's totally understandable. Obviously got to take care of their families first, and then I think the postal strike hurt us a little bit for some of our bigger donors as well. So we're a little bit behind in what we were last year, but I'm sure the event's still going to be amazing.
And the parade starts at 6:30 p.m. this Saturday. The Nightmare on St. Mary is returning to Sudbury for a 6th year, run by the First Valley Baden-Powell Scouting Association. CTV's Madison Merrier has the frightening details.
In the Hammer Valley Shopping Centre, Nightmare on St. Mary Street set up around 45 animatronics in hopes of raising money for the Scouts during the spooky season.
This fundraiser basically funds all their adventures. They go on camps with this. We've got a big jamboree coming up next summer down south that we have to bring the kids to. That's going to cost a lot of money, so this helps fund all their adventures that they do throughout the year.
This PA Day, Nightmare on St. Mary Street is turning on the lights and clearing the walkways in hopes of creating a less scary and more accessible experience.
There's other people that are doing haunted houses throughout the city, and I think it's important for everybody to be able to experience Halloween.
Today is about including everybody so that everyone can go through the haunt.
It was pretty fun, really interesting. I love it. It was nice in there, a little spooky, and it's pretty much fun.
Segay's belief that Halloween is for anyone is also shared by Treat Accessibly.
We have a goal by 2030 of having over 1 million homes treating accessibly, and the action that we're seeing from communities like the Scout group out there who are doing this for their community, for their friends, for their family, for their loved ones, is just one example of what's happening across the country.
Padulo said everyone can make Halloween more accessible by making a few small changes.
We've created a movement where the infrastructure is so available to any home. Any home can treat accessibly by simply removing barriers by going to the end of their driveway, having their treat station there.
According to Segay, the Nightmare on St. Mary Street is hoping to have another accessible day, proving that Padulo's hope of making Halloween the first accessible holiday isn't too scary. Madison Marier, CTV News, Hanmer.
2 northern communities received high honor Saturday at the annual Communities in Bloom Awards ceremony in Stratford. The Greater Sudbury community of Gabriel won a silver rating this year in the national population up to 5,000 category for its stunning gardens. Communities in Bloom judges got to soak in Gabriel's beautification when they were in town back in August. Gabriel also took home the Heritage Conservation Award, and the city of North Bay won a bronze rating in the national population over 50,000 category. Back in July, the judges said community involvement was high in North Bay, noting people were actively keeping their city clean. The last time North Bay got top honors was 2023. Millions of people around the world and across Canada are celebrating Diwali. The annual Festival of Lights is one of the most significant dates in Hinduism. A record 2.6 million lamps were lit along the banks of the Saryu River, India, to mark the festival, which is held over 5 days. A new nationwide farming initiative is focused on making the industry more climate friendly. CTV's Scott Miller has more on what that looks like in Midwestern Ontario.
This ground is, we always think it looks like chocolate cake.
For the past 15 years, Ken Schaus has been using cover crops on most of the 4,000 acres he farms with his family across Bruce and Grey County.
We've seen an incredible difference in the soil, what it's become and what it's producing.
Using cover crops to protect the soil, limit runoff, and maintain soil nutrients is just one of the ways farmers are being encouraged to incorporate more climate-friendly or regenerative practices onto their farms. It's the focus of a new nationwide initiative from the Canadian Alliance for Net Zero Agri-Food called the Million Acre Challenge to try and limit carbon emissions in food production.
Only about 4% of climate finance actually goes to agriculture globally. And that's a very small amount of money towards a huge sector that is doing a lot for us. It sequesters carbon, it feeds us, it provides food security, it provides jobs, it provides culture and family. So why can't we grab that money and put it on the ground where it's actually needed?
With $7 million in startup funds from the Weston Family Foundation, Kanza wants to share the startup costs of projects that bring down farmers' carbon emissions, keep soil in the ground, and/or conserves water, while building a marketplace for farmers using carbon credits or other rewards for incorporating climate-friendly practices onto their operations.
In our current system, farmers take on all of the cost and a lot of the risk up front. So if we can help share some of that cost and risk so that we allow farmers to innovate and find solutions for climate smart practices on their farm that work for them, then that's what we really want.
Now, the Million Acre Challenge will focus on agriculture-rich southern Ontario first. The goal is to have about 365,000 acres involved in the program in 5 years' time, and 25 million of Canada's 153 million farmable acres signed up by 2050. Joe says on his beef and grain operation, they're using less fertilizer and fuel using cover crops while improving their yields at the same time.
You know, if I can do it, you know, any farmer can do it. Quite honestly, it's not hard to do, and it feels like the right thing to do.
Agriculture accounts for between 5 to 10% of Canada's yearly carbon emissions. Near Walkerton, Scott Miller, CTV News.
It comes down to one game. Still ahead on CTV News at 6. The Toronto Blue Jays host the Seattle Mariners, with the winner heading to the World Series.
Clothing consideration provided by
Fashion Fair. Beautiful clothing for today's woman, where quality makes the difference.
The first poppy has been presented as legions across the country prepare for Remembrance Day next month.
It is with reverence and gratitude that I accept the first poppy.
The Royal Canadian Legion presented Governor General Mary Simon with the ceremonial first poppy in Ottawa today. The traditional event represents the ceremonial start to the Remembrance period. The National Poppy Campaign officially begins October 31st this year. Funds donated are used to support veterans and their families. It's the kind of discovery you'd never expect from an old book, a piece of the past now connecting two families, two provinces, and one remarkable chapter of Canadian history. CTV's Caitlin Wilson has more.
We have two different kinds. We have a ration book 5 and we have ration book 6.
It's the last thing Sherry Laurent expected to find when she picked up a couple of old books from a church sale in St. Lambert, Quebec, more than 30 years ago.
I can't remember if they were all in one book or maybe in 2 or 3 books, and I just noticed them and I thought, oh, I'll take these books.
Tucked between the pages, pieces of history frozen in time.
This one was the newer version. It has a couple more pages.
They were ration cards issued to Canadian families during the Second World War, when things like sugar, meat, and butter were strictly limited to help stretch supplies and support the war effort.
My parents are both deceased, but they, lived through the war and that sort of thing. So I've heard about them, but I had never seen them in person.
For years, she kept them on a shelf before moving to Ottawa, where they sat in a box until recently, when she came across them again and wondered who did they belong to. So she turned to Facebook, posting a few photos and a name.
Within minutes, I had a couple of people, hey, I know that family, I could put you in touch with somebody. So it literally took less than an hour.
Her search led her to Ian Keeler in Brossard, Quebec, the grandson of Don and Agnes, known as Nessie Keeler. The names written on the outside of the books, which also belonged to his father and uncle.
The part is really interesting. I'm a very big interested in my genealogy. So I was very, very keen to get those ration cards because to me it added another piece of the history.
He says his grandfather had immigrated from Trinidad, served in the First World War, and married his wife in Scotland before the couple settled in what's now St. Hubert, Quebec.
It's a lot harder to find stories and the links to the past when the people are no longer with us. You've got to go with little bits and pieces of paper you find in books.
Now Ian's sister plans to meet Sherry in person to collect the ration cards, a small act of kindness closing a chapter roughly 80 years in the making.
That book has 2 stories. That is the original story of the book and also the story of the World War II ration cards. And I think that's just very, very, very interesting.
Caitlin Wilson, CTV News.
It's a do-or-die night for the Toronto Blue Jays in their quest for the American League Championship. CTV's Adrian Gobriel now on the excitement and anxiety right across the country.
When the Northern Lights are their brightest, this baseball team has brought a nation to its collective feet. It's been 32 years since Joe Carter touched them all, a decade since Batista's blast. Though this current iteration of the Toronto Blue Jays has fans flying high once again, prompting some to hop a flight for the big game, with one pilot even sketching the Blue Jays logo with his flight path over Nova Scotia.
You got a diamond, you got 9 men.
Canadian rock stars have been strumming along this postseason to the Blue Jays anthem.
You got them to spring till fall.
In Victoria, fans caught the ferry to games 3, 4, and 5 in Seattle.
There's only 30 teams in the MLB, and Canada only has one of them, but it only takes one to win.
Lifelong Expos fans are even pulling for Vladdy's senior son, taking the trip from Montreal.
We're going to Game 7.
This postseason run has brought families and Canadians together and given rise to the next generation of Blue Jays Nation.
We're very excited. Let's go Blue Jays!
It might be fall in Canada, but hope does spring eternal across the country this October with one common goal, one common purpose.
Okay, Blue Jays, let's play ball.
And play ball they will tonight. The two most intense words in sports, Game 7. The hopes of a nation hangs on each pitch, on every swing of the bat. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Over the weekend, children from 6 Indigenous communities received the gear they needed to lace up for the hockey season. This year marked the 11th annual Indigenous Hockey Equipment Drive. In Sudbury, the Northern Hockey Academy hosted the distribution part of the drive. The drive was hosted in Barrie, where 150 hockey bags and 220 sticks were collected to give out Saturday. We'll learn more about the success of the event this Friday in our Hockey This Week segment with Rick Wyman. A busy weekend for Northern teams in the Ontario Hockey League. Friday night was the grudge match between the Sioux Greyhounds and the Sudbury Wolves. Wolves took that one 4-2. The Greyhounds would get their revenge Saturday, winning 3-1 over the Wolves in Sault Ste. Marie. The Hounds scored all 3 of their goals in the first period. The North Bay Battalion were in Barrie Saturday, where they rode the Colts to a 4-3 victory. On Sunday, Barrie was in North Bay looking for a bit of payback. The troops, however, won this game 3-2. In a shootout. There were 11 games in the NOJHL over the weekend. Friday night, Hearst and Powassan, the top 2 teams in the league, faced off. Hearst needed an extra 12 seconds to win this one, but Powassan still walks away with a point. The 4th place Sioux Thunderbirds and 5th place Sudbury Cubs have tallied the first tie under the new rules on Saturday. And on Sunday, the Blind River Beavers skated away with an 8-2 victory over the Iroquois Falls Storm. Walton Goggins is joining the cast of a thriller, and a classic anime is headed back to the silver screen. David Daniel has those stories and more in tonight's Hollywood Report.
She's very troubled. She's running from this insane past.
Brandy is apologizing for a health scare that caused her to abruptly end a weekend show. The performer posted on Instagram she experienced dehydration and feelings of wanting to faint before leaving the stage in Chicago Saturday night to seek medical attention. She thanked her fans for their love, support, and prayers.
He is lost, and he is desperate.
Walton Goggins has joined the cast of the action thriller Painter, according to The Hollywood Reporter. Amber Midthunder stars as a young woman with a particular set of skills who will need those skills to rescue her kidnapped father. Goggins plays the dad in distress. No word when the film is due in theaters.
Chihiro, we're almost there.
The Hayao Miyazaki classic Spirited Away is back in theaters through Wednesday as part of Studio Ghibli Fest 2025. Locations and showtimes at fathomentertainment.com. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
After narrowing down the cause of a huge internet outage that knocked out major apps and websites, a number of users are now reporting new outages. Amazon had earlier reported that it had mitigated an earlier outage that disrupted popular apps and websites, including Snapchat, Facebook, and Fortnite. Some banks and airlines also reported issues. Amazon Web Services plays a critical role for internet-based companies and social media sites. Molson Coors has announced a significant job cuts plan today. The company said it will eliminate about 400 positions, representing 9% of its America's salaried workforce. This comes as U.S. alcohol companies are grappling with uncertainties driven by cautious consumer spending and tariff-driven volatilities. Molson Coors said it aims to reinvest in its core categories of beer, non-alcoholic beverages, and energy drinks. And tariffs are still holding back investment. BNN Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez has more from a new survey from the Bank of Canada.
The majority of Canadian goods sent to the U.S. are covered under CUSMA, so they're tariff-free. But clearly, tariffs are still a concern for business owners. In the Bank of Canada's latest survey, they say uncertainty remains their top worry. Companies are spending more on routine maintenance than growing their business. And about a third now expect Canada to hit a recession, and that's up from the last survey. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 71.26. West Texas Intermediate Crude is down a bit to 57.02. Western Canadian Select is down to 46.29. And the TSX shot up 307 points today to 30,416. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
And here are the current prices for some key commodities we watch. Gold up a whopping $106.65, closing the day at $43.56.54 US an ounce. Silver up 53 cents to end the day at $52.44. Copper moved ahead by 4 cents, and nickel down 2 cents, ending the day at $6.75 US a pound. And before we go, Rick is back now for one last look at your Tuesday weather.
Well, here we go. We're back to the showers with that system moving into northeastern Ontario. So again, let's have a look at what you can expect. Rain in Greater Sudbury at about 8. Timmins 8, chance of showers at 40%, and more rain in the forecast in Sault Ste. Marie for tomorrow with an expected high of around 10. Meanwhile, in North Bay, we can expect some rain as well at 12 degrees. 12 degrees, shower activity in Parry Sound, and more rain. Number 9, the expected high for Temiskaming Shores for tomorrow. So, Tony, we had a one-day reprieve with our forecast, but we're back to the showers overnight and tomorrow. Back to you.
Thanks, Rick. I don't like them so much, but appreciate your input. And finally, karaoke has gone to the dogs thanks to an owner and his furry friend.
Right now, lose it. Just lose it. Go crazy. Go baby.
De Niro, the Frenchie, loves the hairdryer, which gave his owner a hilarious idea. They lip sync to Eminem after every grooming session. It's awesome. And folks, that's CTV News at 6. I'm Tony Ryma. Thanks so much for watching. More news comes your way at 11:30 with Ian Campbell. Good night.